Hello. Can y'all hear me? Testing, testing. In case y'all can hear me, then let's get started.
The robot at the end of the level also had many human features. The whole thing was covered in skin and looked vaguely hairy. The saw blade had teeth on them, and the fire spitters looked like mouths that simply had bad breath. Like before, you're intended to break it. Upon breaking it, it explodes into a pile of bones and various organs. Under the debris, though, is Mighty again, ready to race. Running through the level, which normally has the entire ground break as you run through it backwards, all of the ground had been replaced with elongated wads of flesh. Due to Sonic's slower speed, Mighty actually catches up this time. When he catches Sonic, he grabs him by the leg, then grabs him by the other leg. He starts to tear him in half, it seems. His limbs look to stretch further in order to rip him more efficiently. As he rips Sonic more, his screams get more and more intense. Right when an actual tear happens, the screen quickly turns to black. All that can be heard is flesh tearing, followed by Sonic's screams slowly coming to a stop. Mighty doesn't even say anything this time around. The result screen just played. But Sonic's icon didn't show up, and the music didn't play, just the ring count and whether or not Pandora's received a bonus, which she didn't. Damn! Okay, character select once again. Sonic silhouette.
Y'all get to give me, y'all get to go ahead and give me any idea on what I should do for the game. And that includes like levels and stuff.
The level transitions again. The shadowed figure is gone, and Eggman looks to be leaning back in his seat, relaxed almost. The screen shines on his face as Ray moves to the same level. Wild Water Way. The water in the level was strange. It was a mixture of colors. Red, yellow, pale green, all sort of bodily fluid colors, which was really gross, Pandora thought. She knew Kyle's mind was fucked up before, but this is just nasty. The bridge looked to be made out of human skin with intestines and the ropes holding them up. When the trap set off, another Eggman intermission thing happens, and Pandora expects him to normally push a button like he did before. But when the static clears, it shows something much more sinister. Eggman is laid back in his chair, but not because he's relaxed, it's because he's dead. Both of his goggles are cracked, and his skin looks deathly pale. One of his arms is missing from the socket, and the other is just missing a hand. He also has a big chunk missing from his head, leaving portions of the brain exposed. This stays on screen for a couple seconds, leaving Pandora paralyzed, staring at it. In the time she's stuck, the bridge breaks and she goes into the water. The oncoming propeller looks to be made of tongues. The turtle is just a skeleton, and the mines are kidney stones? The centipede eel-like enemies now looked to be giant tapeworms, and the clams are closing arteries. During the rock climbing area, it also looks like skin, and it spews out the same red, yellow, and greenish liquid. The rafts were just big bones. This place was straight up disgusting, and, just like you'd expect, Mighty was waiting at the end of the level. Pandora tried to run away, but Ray didn't move. He looked like he didn't want to. No matter what Pandora
didn't know that you were here, GCW.
He looked like he had just accepted it. So, of course,
Gunner, do you got any ideas for what I should do for this Sonic.EXE remake?
And begins ripping him apart. Just when Pandora thinks Ray's screams can't get any louder, they suddenly come to a stop as the screen cuts to black, with the only thing she can hear being a really squishy ripping noise. Same as before the results screen played, without Ray's icon and music, and still no bonus. Now there was no character selected, just the level transition where Eggman's body was still lying. Mighty's icon went to the final level, Eggman's Tower, although it seemed to be renamed Zephaniah's Lair. The same rotten Mighty walked through Eggman's tower. Pandora had no control of him and was forced to watch. The entire tower had that fleshy look of everything else, but it felt like it was the most intense here. It cannot even be described. This is what Mighty believed to be the ideal home. Everything is alive and breathing. Everything is out to get you. And he is the one true ruler. He walks all the way to the final room, where you normally find Eggman. Eggman is still sat in his chair, but the bodies of Sonic and Ray are also there, lifeless on the ground. Mighty sits on the throne and listens to the screen. Right at Pandora. Suddenly, files from the Notepad app begin to open for the game. It took Pandora a second to realize, but it seemed like Mighty was talking to her using the Notepad. Each time Pandora closed one, another would open.
Greetings, my dear. I must thank you for playing my little game. We had so much fun, didn't we? Yes. Even thought it was over, but there's one last round. One final lap.
As Pandora closes the Notepad, Mighty begins to snicker as he snaps his fingers in game. The bodies of Sonic, Eggman, and Ray were standing, still damaged and horrible looking, but standing.
Go out and escape. I will restore the world and spare no remnant you succeed. But if you don't,
Mighty begins to laugh again as he floats into the air. The timer for 55 seconds begins, and Pandora immediately takes control of Sonic, who is slow due to his legs being, well, broken. The final lap is a reference to the ending segment of the game, where whichever character you're playing as must run to the exit of Eggman's tower before it self-destructs. So Pandora was to send everyone out in 55 seconds. It should be just enough time, she thought. She hadn't taken into account the fact that the characters are severely injured. Sonic reached the exit after 25 seconds. He stands and waits at the door. As Pandora takes control of Ray, his legs aren't injured, but he's still running a bit slower. He makes it to the door in 20 seconds, leaving Pandora with just 10 seconds to get Eggman out of the door. She had high doubts she'd be able to do it in time, but Eggman didn't run. His knees seemed to be broken, so he rolls down the steps, which it was much faster. He was going to make it. Just when Pandora could see Sonic and Ray at the exit, the timer goes up. The screen shakes and turns white as the camera pans to the outside of the tower. It collapses and everyone inside falls with it. Mighty descends from the air in front of the screen, laughing maniacally. His body looked to get more and more rotten until he turned into a pile of mulch in the ground. Pandora thought maybe his unstable body couldn't take that much movement, until it started to wiggle a little, and then some more, and suddenly, a little worm jumped out of the pile that was once Mighty. The worm was black with a big head and yellow eyes, much like Mighty had before. Had this worm been possessing Mighty? He began to laugh again, for a long time. Pandora waited for him to say something else until it went on for too long. He goes to turn off the game when another notepad appears and the worm's laughing stops.
apologies, but I am in control.
When Pandora closes the final.txt file, her computer crashes. She tries to turn it on again, nothing happens. No matter what she does, her computer won't turn back on. She tries everything, nothing. A couple days pass, and it comes time for Pandora, Gerard, and Kyle to meet up and discuss the game. How the game came out, any bug fixes, stuff like that. When they all meet together, Pandora is immediately pretty pissed, but she decides to be patient and see what Gerard says first. Gerard praises Kyle's work. I found little to no bugs. Everything controls great, sounds great, looks great. I'd say it's one of our finest ports. It's great having you here, Kyle. Kyle seems a bit proud of himself for that. He then chuckles. So, how about you, Miss Pandora? You can guess where this went. Pandora lets loose on Kyle a little bit. She calls him deranged and utter madman for what he'd done, or what she had to sit through. Kyle begins to howl with laughter. Got you pretty good, huh? This response only makes Pandora angrier. It was much more than some lighthearted joke, she thought. There was something seriously wrong with this boy's head. As things continued, she began describing the events. Mighty being a corpse, killing everyone, building scenery, all of it. Kyle begins to stop her though. Miss Pandora, I didn't add any of those things. Pandora thinks he's playing dumb at first, but he continues his explanation. I made the Ronnie Mighty mention a couple more, but the biggest thing was some small AI that decided what sprite showed up. It was supposed to only be a fucked up looking Mighty, and maybe a fucked up Sonic and Ray. I don't know anything about what you saw. Gerard begins to think that Pandora was over-exaggerating, because she didn't seem to like Kyle all that much to begin with, until Pandora mentioned one key detail. She has pictures. As she played the game, she was taking pictures of everything on her phone, because she somehow knew something was going to happen, and someone would doubt her. So she pulls up her phone, and lo and behold, she has receipts. The imagery is greatly upsetting, to say the least. Gerard finds himself sick, and Kyle is pretty disturbed too. Yeah, I didn't do any of that. Pandora is stumped, as is Kyle, and Gerard doesn't even know where to stand on this. It's a bit too late to hard look.
That's it. We let you split big payments and not so big ones whenever you need to, because we trust you. No, we trust you with money.
Okay, that's cool.
Buy now, pay later with Zip. Thank you for the call.
With a simple search on Get Your Guide, explore new places and local culture with expert guides. Find unique experiences that feel truly worth it, and travel with flexibility and peace of mind. Discover your next experience with millions of reviews from other travelers on Get Your Guide.
From these things now, so Pandora had no choice but to believe Kyle's word. And, in the meantime, try and get her computer fixed. She tries to take it to multiple shops and no one can fix it. The amount of money she burns on one computer is kind of crazy, but it's an important computer. It has all of her work on it. She's able to get the computer's entire contents on a hard drive. So she's got all of her work saved. She, unfortunately, has to get a new computer, but they'll be fine, right? Once it's all set up, she gets ready to plug in the hard drive. She goes to plug it in when she realizes something. If her previous computer's entire contents is on this hard drive, so is that damn worm. And that's the first story of Mighty.zip. As you can tell, it's already setting up for its sequel, Chaotix.zip. Though it's pretty cool because, as you'll find out, Mighty.zip is only one of the antagonists in the stories. This one focuses on Mighty.zip and how he was created. Here's the summary for all those who skipped this part. A stubborn but somewhat nice old lady and her friend named Gerard run a video game restoration store, which just means they take old video games and make modern ports of them. They pick an arcade exclusive called Sega Sonic to make a port on, and use it to test how they will work with people. So they hired an intern named Kyle. Kyle is an immature 20-year-old who ends up not getting along with Pandora because, well, she's very particular about her project and Kyle just doesn't mess well with her. She also harshly criticizes him, so they get caught up in fights often, as Pandora would harshly criticize Kyle's work a lot. So in retaliation, and because he thinks it's funny, Kyle adds some messed up imagery of the characters and sends a version of the game to Pandora. However, what Pandora ends up receiving is much more deranged than what Kyle had sent initially, because basically an AI gained sentience within the game. The game became deranged, and files began to appear using the Notepad application directed to Pandora specifically. She would experience the characters going through horrible things, and a fake unnerving Mighty would mess with her. After a while, the false Mighty offered a deal. Pandora will only have 55 seconds to get Sonic, Ray, and Eggman out of the collapsing tower. If she wins, the game will turn to normal and everything will be alright. Lose and the consequences will be too great to know. Sonic and Ray, despite their injuries, made it to the exit on time, but left only 10 seconds for Eggman to do the same. Unfortunately, Eggman was too slow, even though his condition somehow made it, so he descended down into the depths faster than anyone else. The deal was now in effect. Zephaniah appeared, Mighty's body rotted as he revealed his true form, which just turned out to be a worm. He bid Pandora farewell with newfound power and wrecks Pandora's computer, and she's no longer able to turn it on. This was what we call a zip bomb, a small zip file that looks harmless, but when you extract it, it completely overloads your PC. Pandora confronts Kyle. Kyle ends up confused because he did tamper with the game, just not that much. Everyone is left mortified. Pandora isn't able to fix her computer. She did have everything backed up on a hard drive and placed it on her new computer. She realized something. This hard drive has everything from her old computer saved, and this did include, you guessed it, Zephaniah. Honestly, the story itself isn't too bad. The characters have a clear motivation, and it's clear it takes inspiration from the original Sonic.EXE story. After all, Kyle, being a character, is a direct reference to the fact that he likes Sonic. The purpose of the story was to introduce us to Mighty Concept instead of for its sequel, Chaotix Concept. Now, I know this is disappointing, but I'm actually just going to summarize Chaotix Concept because I don't think it's worth reading the whole story and extending the video by another hour. This summary is written on the wiki, so credits for that will be placed below. I just fixed up a little bit of it for grammar purposes. So, Chaotix Concept takes place right after the first incident. Pandora becomes hostile towards Kyle due to the prank he pulled. However, she was still persistent on trying to port older games onto modern hardware, this time with Knuckles Chaotix. However, things quickly take a turn once the worm appears, causing a lot of annoyance to the point to where she wants to get rid of him for good, and the only person to be able to do it is Tom. Once booting up the game, everything started to become strange, especially Knuckles with his disappearance in the title screen and playing tag within the game itself. Afterwards, everything else was fine for the most part until Knuckles began to transform into something decayed and creepy, going under the name Zacchaeus, who's the brother of Zephaniah. After playing countless games with the being like Simon Says, Hot Potato, and King of the Hill, Pandora meets up with Tom to see his progress so far, until suddenly Zephaniah appears with a text file, with Zacchaeus being pretty pissed about it. The two fight in-game to the point where they tether the vines the two broke and eventually run it away, leaving only two worms fighting each other. A few months pass, and while Tom is happy the incident is over with, his friend Kyle decides to prank him with a plushie looking exactly like the rotten Knuckles Tom had to deal with on his bed. With slight annoyance, he texts Kyle he got home and found the plushie. Okay, that's pretty much Chaotix Concept. I gotta say, the story compared to the stuff we see in the FNF mods is way different on how they go about presenting the character. In the story, while I imagine would be unnerving to play, the antagonists seem more like a bunch of jokes. I think that's kind of the point of the story, to not take itself as seriously. The fact that there is no consequence besides a broken PC, which is bad, but it's not scary. It'd be scary for me. Maybe not everyone, but it would be scary for me. Now, the game talking to you directly, well, that is intimidating, and a sentient AI is more possible now more than ever. But have it threaten to leak your location or something if you want it to be intimidating. I do like that it went in a different direction, but it's underwhelming for me. Also, Kyle, Tom, and the plushie on the bed are direct references to Sonic.EXE, so I'm assuming it's a parody. I don't think it's quite where this character shines, especially in its sequel. I think Zephaniah became kind of like a chill character, at least in my opinion. He became a lot less intimidating in the second story, Chaotix Concept. Now, to be clear, it does fit into the world of EXEs and has solidified its place since 2021, but where it truly shines is in his FNF content and his lyrics/poems. The fact that he addresses you directly and taunts you, I do like that idea. It makes it feel more personal, so not too bad. I do feel like the sequel is lacking, but now I'd like to move on to the FNF song, Zipper Bomb. Is a song in Sonic Legacy that was shown off to us recently, and I want to say I love the visuals. I'll be doing a full deep dive when the mod releases, but for now, you guys just get this. So, he's going against Ray, which in the story makes sense. Also, the title Zipper Bomb is a reference to his story because, well, he's a zip bomb. Some lyrics relate directly to Sega Sonic, those being Thank You Dear and One Final Lap for You being a few. Mighty, to me, is saying that you don't have control and that he wasn't the one to cause havoc, but the person who released him caused it. Also, I really like this face he makes in this verse. No significance to it. I just like it. And his animations in general. You'll notice he becomes more decayed as the song goes on, similar to how it is in the story until he reveals his true form to Pandora. If you haven't checked this out yet, I'd recommend it because it's a banger. Churtney always does an amazing job when it comes to vocals. I do imagine it's hard to find someone with proficiency and the amount of experience Sir has, hence why he sings in so many things. It's a great performance all around, and I'm looking forward to seeing more in Sonic Legacy. Alright, I think it's time to delve into Zephaniah D-Sides. While they share a similar name, Mighty.Zip D-Sides is a different character in a different circumstance. So, Zephaniah is the D-Sides replacement for Xenophanes from the original Sonic.EXE FNF mod. So, its origin is similar but different. This version was created by a teenager trying to prank his best friend. The file he kept private accidentally went public and was advertised as a fan game featuring obscure Sonic characters within the franchise. However, it's a zip bomb. If you open this file and try to play his game, it will permanently be on your computer. In FNF D-Sides, Boyfriend downloaded this very game and was kicked inside of it by Daddy Dearest. However, Girlfriend was also kicked in by accident, and that's why Boyfriend and Girlfriend are in this world. Additionally, this version of Mighty.Zip uses notepads to talk to you directly, just like in the original story, speaking in rhymes to give you a hint on how to unlock a song. There are multiple riddles for you to get in the notepad. However, I don't want to spoil them because I think you should play the mod that he's from. It's linked down below. However, I will be spoiling the song you can unlock, so please be aware of that. Too Slow D-Sides is an incredible song, and obviously I'm a fan of the lyrics. Have a listen. Given what we know, Pandora is a direct reference to the original story, but doubles as a reference to the Greek mythology story of Pandora. Essentially, you open a box of forbidden power. You didn't listen when you were told not to open the box, but you did, and now the screen will be the last thing you see before he takes your soul. I mean, joke's on him, because this game is actually a prison for him, and he's not finding a way to your soul anytime soon. But aside from that, that's pretty much his character. I just really wanted to talk about the Too Slow mix because it's been stuck in my head and I really liked it when I heard it. It's why the B-Sides version is here. I do think that there is a little bit more to him. I'm pretty sure there is a more X variant and there's a whole story within the mod itself, but this is focusing on the character himself and what role he plays. Oh, and I also wanted to bring up his Sunky counterpart and spoil one more thing. When you unlock Mighty, yes, that is his name, in the notepad, he just breaks character entirely and just speaks in confusion. Like, he's like not even sure why Mighty and Sunky are here. So, Mighty is, like I said, similar to Sunky. You know what, the Lord, he just likes jelly and he looks like a pretty cool dude. I really like this B-Sides version, and since the update, and also Sonic Legacy releasing the song, now seems like the perfect time to make a video on Mighty.Zip. I've been wanting to for a while, and briefly talk about a D-Sides counterpart. So I'm actually glad that I waited a little bit because there was more content that was released, and it's pretty cool. Let me know if you guys like the structure of this video. It's a bit longer, but I really enjoy making these, and if you guys like them, then I'll try to do it more often. Subscribe, thank you for watching, and stay spooky. A being that affects multiple types of media and goes far beyond anything you know about this entity. Zalgo initially wasn't actually connected to Sonic, but his popularity spread to it as such. In this video, we're going to cover his original story and where he originated from. Then I'm going to talk about the Sonic.EXE games he was a part of because they are extremely interesting to me and also kind of hilarious. I've had a lot of requests to talk about this guy, and I've been very curious myself, but haven't been able to find much up until this point. He's a bit of a mystery because so many iterations of Zalgo exist, it was hard to figure out where he started and how he got into Sonic.EXE and how it was linked to that. And it's not exactly what you think. And I also couldn't find any sort of videos talking about this specific iteration because it's actually just that old. People seem to know who Zalgo is, or at least this Zalgo. You'll look at this info, but you don't really know who it is. And that's what this video is going to figure out. So, let's unravel the mystery of Zalgo and talk about the series of Sonic horror games he comes from, and also the FNF song Last Chance. As mentioned before, this isn't the first version of Zalgo. I'm not even sure if this picture of him is accurate, but it's one that people have been using. Zalgo is made by Shmorky, who is a Flash animator back in the day, and this was one of the giants that stood alongside Slenderman or Jeff the Killer back when creepypastas were extremely popular. And he's actually one of the good ones in many people's eyes. But originally he was a meme, appearing in parodies of newspaper cartoons where characters would invoke the name Zalgo. This was a good template for people to include Zalgo in their own comics, and soon he would spread to numerous different series like a plague. A good way to think of it is, it's basically Pibby before Pibby was a thing. Zalgo's abilities only affect comics, cartoons, and illustrations, not reality itself. The idea has drifted out of favor with more recent stories portraying Zalgo as a powerful demonic being. Zalgo essentially is meant to creep you out, make you feel like something isn't right in the system. In iterations, he infects your brain and drives you to insanity or straight up dismembers you. There was a popular creepypasta written by Chris Phoenix called He Comes, based off of Zalgo that blew up some years ago. And it's actually not bad. It's one of the better creepypastas I've seen, actually, especially from this decade. It's basically the perspective of someone who comes upon this eldritch horror that's plagued his world, where things just don't feel or seem right at all. The things he sees and hears get progressively weirder as you read on. And one of the scenes is around the doctor, and the people in the room all mutter the name Zalgo. The end of the story shows an old video that describes Zalgo and how he's going to plague this world one day. And I gotta say, this guy is sure taking his sweet time because it's been freaking 15 years. Where are you at, Zalgo? Now, it is pretty much universally agreed that Zalgo is one of the best creepypastas to be made. Even with all the memes, he stood the test of time until eventually someone by the name of Novaware would feature him in a trilogy of Sonic horror games, the first one being Sonic.EXE. These are the games I'm going to cover in this video, along with an additional FNF mod I think is really cool, made by Snow the Fox. That's right, you've never seen this before. And the song is from a now canceled FNF mod called Rerun. I'll talk about that in the FNF segment. For now, the Zalgo Sonic.EXE games actually
So yeah, also, the only things which I'm gonna currently do is just convert all these Sonic.EXE sprites to like the vectors for the game to be the Z. But while yes, this will be a complete remake of the game with your ideas. Yeah, pretty much keep in mind that this is gonna be a complete reboot. Yeah, pretty much.
Ending of Sonic 2 for the Game Gear, where Sonic is running off and the camera pans to the sky with Tails giving a peace sign, essentially insinuating Tails died and it's your fault because you didn't collect the Chaos Emeralds to stop Eggman. For a Sonic game, that's pretty dark, but also pretty interesting. Makes you feel like there are consequences to your actions. Sonic 2 begins with that old YouTube video feel with the text from back then. You know the one, surely. It describes what I explained. Sonic made a Sonic and Tails, and upon starting the game, we're, well, in hell, I think. Sorry, Tails, you're going to hell. Okay, I'll explain where we actually are in a bit. As Tails, we kind of look around, collect some rings, and then, yeah, that's it. That's an EXE game for you. You are able to jump in this game, but the concept is as Sonic.EXE as it gets. After ending the level, Tails lands in some spikes, and I'm reminded of when this game was made because there's a Majora's Mask reference here. I think it's implied that Zalco also caused what happened with Ed Drowned. But honestly, that's a very loose theory, and the creator probably just wanted to include Majora's Mask. We get another spooky screen with the title now being Sonic 666. Okay, I know it's cheesy, and it doesn't scare me, but I've kind of missed these days. I can't lie. Now, if I was a kid, then definitely the next level is Sonic walking to the right until there's a mountain of dead bodies, like in the Miss Crimson game. Sonic is then teleported to a staticky place with a black background with stock screaming sounds. We run to the right for a bit until a spooky picture of Tails appears with a slowed version of Can You Feel the Sunshine playing in the background. This level of cheese doesn't stop. And every time something like this happens, I couldn't help but to laugh. Zalgo tells you that the game is over, says the name of your PC, and then says, "See you in round 2. Yeah, there's not much to this game. It's a really quick experience and is meant to be played in tandem alongside the other 3 games. The second game, Sunshine.EXE, starts with diary entries written by Eggman, and they scroll by so quickly like who's supposed to be reading this? This is where the bulk of Zalco's story is revealed and where he comes from in the Novaware games. Essentially, Eggman explains that he's willing to do anything to get rid of that Sonic. It's revealed that he made a deal with a demon in a mirror he found. If he kills Tails, Tails' soul will be brought to his world, and the demon, who is Zalco, will get rid of Sonic in Tails' body. Tails in the real world won't actually die, but instead be swapped out for Zalco. Robotnik agrees and sends Tails to this nightmarish realm. Zalco gets his vessel, but upon release, he immediately starts destroying the doctor's laboratory, and way to go, Eggman. We did not see this coming. And that's the fun of the game. We got our spooky title screen, and we're on our way. This picks up from where Tails died in the last game, but since he can't die in this world, he has to carry on. So he tries to go find Sonic. And to give this game some credit, there is platforming, and I died more times than I want to admit. Some of the landing hitboxes are a bit jank, but it honestly didn't take me that long. Tails finds this conveniently spooky mirror after completing the level, picks it up, and carries on. The next level in this game repeats the same as the last. Each level is short, but the platforming might take a few tries. But the funniest thing happens when you fall off. You get jump scared every time you fall into the bottomless pit. I know it's supposed to be spooky, and I know this was just what games did back then, but when I saw this, I intentionally kept falling off just so I could see the jump scare and the goofy noise it plays. It's so silly, and I love it. The screen doesn't even finish, it just cuts off. After the very scary platforming level, we bump into Sonic, who's in the middle of his squat exercise. But it's a trap. He hits us with a sick one-liner, and we're forced to run away from the... Then I realized, we don't use state on insurance on every building.
Like you're talking my love language.
Well, I've been taking work classes online. Oh, only pay for what you need.
How does he sleep like that? The Majesty Island will whisk you away. It has all the space you need to get closer than ever.